The coffee pot gurgled, filling the kitchen with its rich, bitter scent. I stood there staring at it, trying to lose myself in the simple, mindless act of brewing coffee. Then my phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced down. Marissa. My wife. Or at least she still was, technically. I swiped the screen and the message popped up, short and casual, like she was telling me the weather. Hey, just a heads up. Mom's hosting a small thing for Eli's birthday on Saturday. Kept it tight. Just family. Hope you understand. I read it once, then again. My brain refused to process the words. Just family. Eli is my son. My little boy. The one I rocked to sleep when he wouldn't stop crying. The one whose tiny fingers curled around mine in the middle of the night while Marissa slept soundly. His first birthday. And I wasn't invited. A pressure built in my chest, squeezing my lungs like a vice. My pulse pounded in my ears, drowning out everything else. My fingers tightened around the phone. I wasn't about to let this sit. I hit the call button. 2 rings. Then her voice light and airy like this was nothing. It's just a birthday, Cal. Don't make it a thing. My teeth clenched so hard I thought they might crack. Not a thing. This wasn't some random barbecue or a dinner party I could skip. This was my son's first birthday, a moment I had pictured 1,000 times. The cake, the way he'd light up when we sang, how I'd scoop him up and tell him he was the best thing I'd ever made. I forced my voice to stay even, but it still came out rough. He's my son too, Marissa. How is this not a thing? She sighed, that little exasperated huff she did when she was done with a conversation. Look, it's Mom's thing. She wanted it small. You'll see him another day. Another day. Like I was some distant uncle. Like I didn't belong. I hung up, my pulse hammered in my ears. Before I could stop myself, I dialed Doreen, Marissa's mother. She picked up with that fake sweet tone she used when she was about to deliver a slap wrapped in a smile. Callum, hi. What's this about? I didn't waste time. Why am I not invited? To Eli's birthday? She didn't hesitate. It's more of a maternal side event, nothing personal, just keeping it simple. Nothing personal. I almost laughed, but it stuck in my throat like a jagged rock. Eli is my kid. And they were boxing me out like I was some divorced deadbeat who sent Christmas cards once a year. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Callum, she continued, her voice sharp now, it's just one day. One day. My son's first birthday. I hung up. The walls of my house felt like they were closing in, suffocating me. I walked into the living room, still reeling, and then I saw it. A half-finished Lego tower on the coffee table. Eli had built it the last time he was here, his tiny hands stacking those red and blue bricks, his giggles filling the air every time they toppled over. My chest caved in. This was my life, my son, and they were cutting me out of it like I was nothing. Something inside me snapped. Fine, if they didn't want me there, if I wasn't family enough for them, then I wouldn't be around at all. I grabbed my phone again. My thumb hovered over the screen. I started searching. Not just for a way out of the house, but out of this entire mess. They could have their little maternal side event. I'd be gone. And they'd know what it felt like to miss someone who mattered. I wasn't sure where I was going yet, but I knew one thing. I wasn't sticking around to beg for a seat at a table that was never meant for me. The object I hurled landed with a dull thud, like another brick in the invisible wall I had been stacking between myself and them. I had no idea what I'd find out there, in the endless stretch of snow. But I knew one thing for certain. It had to be better than sitting here, staring at that half-finished Lego tower, drowning in the feeling that I didn't matter. I yanked the zipper shut on my duffel bag, the sharp sound slicing through the stillness of the room. For a moment I just stood there, breathing hard, grounding myself in the decision I had made. This was real. I was really doing this. And once I wasn't looking back. The bag sat on my bed like a quiet promise, neatly packed with the weight of every sweater, every pair of socks, each piece folded like armor. Not the kind that shields you in battle, but the kind that keeps you standing when you've already been knocked down. The house was silent, except for the low hum of the fridge in the kitchen. I liked it that way, It gave me space to think, to let the decision I had made settle into my bones. Jackson Hole was waiting, and nothing, not guilt, not second thoughts, was going to drag me back. I slung the duffel over my shoulder and moved toward the stairs, each step a deliberate march forward. My boots thudded against the wood, grounding me. This weight on my back, it was mine, a choice I made. My phone buzzed just as I reached the last step. I almost ignored it, but something made me glance at the screen. A flood of messages lit up, like warning lights on a dashboard. Marissa's name popped up first. "You sure you don't want to come?" "It's no big deal." I stared at the words, my jaw tightening. No big deal. She still treated this like I was overreacting, like I was being unreasonable for wanting to be at my own son's birthday. Then Doreen, "Don't make this about you." That one hit like a slap. I could hear her voice in my head, clipped and dismissive. Then another message from Kylie, Marissa's sister. "Hope you're not serious. Eli won't remember." I let out a sharp breath, almost a laugh, but there was no humor in it. They didn't get it. Not one of them. This wasn't about Eli remembering. It was about me. About what it meant to be his father. And they were stripping that away like it was nothing. I dropped the bag by the door and sank onto the couch, my phone still clutched in my hand. A part of me wanted to fire back, to unload every ounce of frustration, to tell them exactly how much this gutted me. But what was the point? They'd twist it. They'd make me the villain for daring to feel anything at all. Instead, I opened my camera roll and stared at the screenshot from last night. My plane ticket. First class. Jackson Hole. Departure. Tomorrow. That was my answer. Not words. Not arguments, just action. I switched to my barely used social media account and posted the ticket with a simple caption. "If I'm not invited, I'm unavailable." I hit send before I could second guess it. The notification sound felt like a door slamming shut. Good. Let them see it. Let them know I wasn't waiting for their permission. Almost instantly, my phone buzzed again. Likes, comments, a few shocked emojis from old friends. I ignored them. Their opinions didn't matter either. I tossed the phone onto the cushion beside me and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. My eyes landed on the Lego tower on the coffee table. I could almost hear Eli's laugh, the way he'd shriek with joy when I'd knock it over just to see his smile. My chest ached, but I pushed it down. This wasn't about abandoning him. It was about refusing to let them decide that I didn't belong. I'd see him soon, on my terms. Not theirs. For now, I needed air that didn't taste like their rules. I grabbed my coat and stepped outside, locking the door behind me. The cold bit into my skin, crisp and clean. It wasn't Wyoming cold, not yet, but it was a glimpse of what was coming. I walked to my truck, slung the duffel into the back, and drove into town, letting the silence settle over me. At the store, I moved quickly. Thermal socks, gloves, a scarf I didn't really need but bought anyway. The cashier barely glanced at me as he rang it up. "Big trip?" he muttered, nodding at the pile. "Yeah. Heading somewhere cold?" I just nodded, keeping it short. To him it was nothing, but to me, it was everything. By the time I got home, the sky had darkened, storm clouds rolling. In like they mirrored my own thoughts. More messages waited on my phone, but I didn't check them. Whatever they had to say could wait. I was done answering. I made a simple sandwich, ham and cheese, eating it while leaning against the counter. The house already felt different, like a pit stop rather than a home. I washed the plate, let it dry, and glanced at the clock. Tomorrow. Couldn't come fast enough. I powered off my phone. Silence, that's what I wanted. That's what I was chasing. Upstairs, I lay on the bed, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. My duffel was packed, my ticket was posted, and in every way that mattered, I was already gone. Stepping off the plane in Jackson Hole, the cold air hit me like a wall, sharp, biting, exhilarating. I stood there for a moment, letting it rush into my lungs, feeling the difference. The mountains loomed in the distance, white and jagged, more real than any picture I had ever seen. I had made it. "Callum, right?" Ready to hit the snow? She asked, handing me skis. Let's see if I remember how this works, I replied, gripping their weight. She ran me through the basics, clipping in, shifting weight, stopping before hitting a tree. Her steady voice, tinged with humor, made it easy to listen. The first run was wobbly, my legs foreign. But then, I caught the rhythm. By the end, I was breathless and grinning. Not bad, Cal. You're a natural. Tell that to my knees. The next run was faster, sharper. The wind sliced past, the snow crunched, my mind emptied. It was exactly what I needed, a clean wipe. Lane pushed me harder, and by the end I was hooked. Tomorrow we go bigger, she said, unclipping her skis. Deal. Back at the cabin, I peeled off my gear and sank into the hot tub, bourbon in hand. The sky burned pink and orange. My phone buzzed, a text from Trent. Why are you being so dramatic? Then from Dorian. You abandoned your son. I stared at the messages, then laughed. Short, hard, empty. Still at it. Still trying to pull me back. Instead, I snapped a picture of the mountains and posted, "Sometimes peace is the best gift you can give yourself." Then, I let my phone clatter onto the wood, untouched. Back home, they'd be cutting Eli's birthday cake. I pictured his tiny, hands clapping, Marissa smiling, Dorian fussing. It hurt, but not as much as I thought. This out here was mine. The mountains. The silence. They couldn't take that away. Sunday morning, coffee brewed slow and steady. My phone, lit with notifications, held one that mattered. A voicemail from Amira, my cousin. Call me. You won't believe what happened. I grinned. Amira always knew how to pull me back. I called. Cal, you dodged a bullet. The party was a train wreck. I sipped my coffee. What happened? Dorian's toast took a jab at you. Marissa's old roommate showed up, dating Derek. Chaos erupted. Cake hit the floor. Party over before sundown. I let out a real laugh. Yeah, I picked the right weekend to disappear. Oh, they're blaming you for not being there to fix it. Typical. I tossed a log into the fire. They can spin it however they want. I'm not there to hear it. By afternoon, my phone buzzed again. Marissa. This wouldn't have happened if you'd come. Doreen. You left us to deal with the mess. Kylie. You. Made Eli's birthday about you. I set the phone down, jaw tightening. They'd shut me out, and now they wanted me guilty when it crumbled. I laughed, short, joyless. Amira texted. Grandma says you cursed the party. Doreen told her so. I smirked, picturing Grandma Ruth rolling her eyes. Bad blood? More like bad planning. I stepped outside. The cold bit sharp, but the mountains stood steady. Back home, they were still spinning their drama. I kicked at the snow. Let them, they excluded me, then acted shocked when I didn't play along. Inside, the fire glowed warm. I picked up my phone and blocked Marissa, Doreen, Kylie. One by one. Their noise? Gone. Only Amira's number stayed. I grabbed a beer, sank into the couch, and let silence settle around me. Monday morning, fresh snow blanketed the porch. No buzzing. Phone. No static in my head. I wasn't ready to go home. 5 more days. I booked the extension, poured coffee, and breathed in the crisp air. Later, I met Lane at the lodge. She tossed me a pair of poles. Ready for the real stuff? I grinned. Let's see if you can keep up. We skied into the backcountry, where the world narrowed to breath and motion. Just the sound of our skis cutting through untouched snow. And, for the first time in a long time, I felt light, unburdened. This wasn't just a trip, it was a choice, a break, a line in the sand. They could keep their mess. I had the Lane led the way, pointing out tracks in the snow, deer, maybe a fox. I followed, my body settling into the rhythm. The air was cold, my lungs burning, but it felt good, like I was shedding something with every push forward. We stopped at a clearing, the mountains rising sharp around us. I caught my breath, the world so still it was almost haunting. Back at Akai, the lodge that evening, I stumbled into a whiskey tasting in the bar, a little setup with wooden tables and a guy pouring samples from bottles I'd never heard of. I slid onto a bench next to a couple from Vermont, Mel and Jonas. They were older, maybe in their 60s, with quick laughs and stories about skiing here every winter. "What brings you out here solo?" Mel asked, eyes crinkling as she sipped her drink. I took a swallow of the whiskey, smooth, smoky, and shrugged. "Missed a birthday party. Best decision I've ever made." Jonas chuckled, raising his glass. "To that, then. Family can wait." We clinked glasses, warmth spreading through me, not just from the drink, but from the ease of it. No judgment, just company. We swapped stories, mine about the slopes, theirs about a moose they'd seen last year, and the night blurred into laughter and refills. Later, back in the cabin, I stoked the fire and grabbed my phone, the whiskey still buzzing in my head. I snapped a shot of the fireplace, the flames licking up, and posted it. I don't fix family messes anymore. That job's been outsourced. To karma. I tossed the phone aside and sank into the couch, pulling the blanket over my legs. The silence from my blocked numbers was golden. No texts, no guilt trips, just the crackle of the fire and the faint howl of wind outside. I thought about Mel and Jonas, how simple it had been to sit with them, no history dragging us down. That's what I wanted now, moments that didn't come with strings. The firelight danced on the walls as my mind drifted back home. They were probably still reeling from the party, Marissa licking her wounds, Doreen spinning her tales. I didn't need to know the details. Amira would fill me in if it was worth it. For now, I had this, the cabin, the snow, the day I'd carved out for myself. I pictured Lane out on the trail, her easy confidence, Mel's warm pat on my arm like I was an old friend. It wasn't just escape anymore. It was something I was building, piece by piece. The whiskey lingered on my tongue. As I closed my eyes, the warmth sinking deep. 5 more days stretched ahead, and I could feel them. Open, clean, mine. I woke up Tuesday to the sound of snow tapping against the cabin windows, a soft, steady rhythm pulling me out of sleep. The fire was out, just a pile of ash now, and the room was cool, but I didn't mind. I lay there staring at the wooden ceiling, feeling the quiet wrap around me like a second blanket. My phone was still on the couch where I'd tossed it last night, and I didn't reach for it. Not yet. The whiskey tasting with Mel and Jonas lingered in my mind. Their easy laughter, the way they toasted my escape without prying. It had been a good night, simple and light. I wanted to hold on to that. I got up, stretched my stiff legs, and started the coffee. The familiar gurgle filled the silence as I looked out at the snow piling up. It was a new day, and I wasn't letting anyone back home pull me out of it. The coffee was hot, burning my tongue a little as I took the first sip. I decided to call Amira while it cooled. She picked up quick, her voice bright despite the early hour. "Cal, you still alive out there?" I grinned, leaning against the counter. "Barely. Too much whiskey last night." She laughed, loud and sharp. "Good, you deserve it. Things here, though, they're a mess." I took another sip, bracing myself. "What now?" She didn't hesitate. "Marissa's been crying to everyone. Her friends, Trent, even the mailman probably. Says the party was a disaster because you weren't there to keep things steady. Doreen's blaming Marissa for not controlling Derek and Tara. Kylie blocked half the family after some big fight with Trent, and he started a group chat to fix everything. It's a circus." I shook my head, smirking into my mug. "Sounds like they're doing fine without me." "Oh, it gets better," Amira said, her tone gleeful. "Grandma Ruth told them all to grow up. Called Doreen a meddling hen to her face. She's the only one keeping it real." I laughed, picturing Grandma's glare, the no-nonsense way she cuts through the noise. Wish I'd seen that. "Marissa sent you an email," Amira added. "Figured you blocked her texts. Says she needs to talk when you're back." I froze, the mug halfway to my mouth. An email. Of course she'd find a way around. "She can wait," I said flatly. "I'm not rushing back to play therapist." Amira's voice softened. "Good, stay out there, Cal. They'll figure it out. Or they won't. Not your problem." We hung up and I stared at my phone for a second. An email. I didn't open it, didn't even look for it. Whatever Marissa wanted, it could sit there, unread, until I was ready, if I ever was. I finished my coffee and grabbed my ski gear, settling into the routine. The snow was still falling outside, light and steady, and I headed for the slopes. The shuttle picked me up, Wes at the wheel again. "Back at it?" he asked, grinning. "Can't. Stop now," I said. He nodded like he got it. Lane was waiting at the lodge, and we hit a steeper run this time. My legs burned as I carved through the powder, going faster, freer, the wind whipping past. It felt like I was leaving more than just tracks in the snow. Later, back at the cabin, I stoked the fire and sat down, opening a small leather sketchbook I'd picked up at the lodge gift shop. I wasn't an artist, not really, but I started sketching anyway. A rough outline of the mountains I'd seen today, jagged peaks under a wide sky. Below it, I added the date I'd left. The day I boarded that plane. Liberation Day. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and I liked how it looked. Simple, solid, a mark of something I'd claimed. I thought about turning it into a tattoo, something permanent to carry with me. The idea stuck. I leaned back, letting the fire warm my legs. Outside, the snow kept falling, burying the world. But I didn't feel trapped. I felt free, and I wasn't letting it go. Lane led the way, pointing out tracks in the snow. Deer, maybe a fox. I followed, my body settling into the rhythm. The cold air burned my lungs, but it felt good, like I was shedding something with every push forward. We stopped at a clearing, the mountains rising sharp around us. The stillness was almost haunting. Back at the lodge, I stumbled into a whiskey tasting, sliding onto a bench next to an older couple, Mel and Jonas. We swapped stories, skiing, moose sightings, missed birthday parties. "Best decision I ever made," I admitted. Jonas chuckled, raising his glass. "To that, then, family can wait." Later in the cabin, I posted a shot of the fire. I don't fix family messes anymore. That job's been outsourced to karma. No texts, no guilt trips, just silence. And it felt good. The next morning, Amira called. "Marissa's a wreck," Doreen's. Blaming her, Kylie blocked half the family and Trent started a fix-it group chat. I laughed. Sounds like they're doing fine without me. Even Grandma Ruth had enough, calling Doreen a meddling hen. Marissa had emailed me. "We need to talk." I didn't open it. Instead, I hit the slopes, carving through powder, faster, freer. At the lodge gift shop, I found a small leather sketchbook. That night, I sketched the mountains, adding the date I left, my Liberation Day. Maybe it'd be a tattoo, a permanent reminder of the moment I stopped letting them define me. My last morning in Jackson Hole, the sky was impossibly blue. I sipped coffee on the porch, staring at the mountains. Back. Home, the chaos still spun, but it felt distant, like a radio station I'd tuned out. I'd see Eli soon, on my terms. At the airport, Wes grinned. "You look different. Lighter." I nodded. "Feels that way." Home was quiet. The Lego tower still sat on the coffee table. I grabbed a beer, stepped outside and raised it to the guy. "Here's to peace." The first sip was cold, sharp, and I grinned, zero regret, all gain.